Coupe SUVs are always so much more desirable because their sloping roofline always adds that extra scoop of raciness. And well, Maruti Suzuki is the latest manufacturer to induct one in its product lineup in the form of the all-new Fronx. Now, well, this one is quite a looker right from the word go, but more importantly, it also brings back the 1-liter BoosterJet turbocharged petrol engine that impressed us a lot in the Baleno RS. So, is this the most desirable compact crossover already? Let's find out. Usually when talking about the design of a new car, we tend to start from the front, but I'm not doing that today. And that's because in the case of the Fronx, it's the rear end that commands more attention. And while prices are yet to be announced, with this kind of a design, especially the sloping roofline and this rear end, the Fronx might just be the best looking car below the 10 lakh rupee mark. One of my favorite bits at the rear, besides the sloping roofline, are the tri-element LED tail lamps and the LED strip connecting them from end to end. These help the Fronx look very premium from the rear, as if it were a compact luxury SUV. The 4-skid plate at the bottom adds to the rugged feel, along with the black cladding all round. The Fronx runs on 16-inch wheels that go well with its sporty stance, and they also fill the squared wheel arches pretty well. Moving over to the front end, the Fronx looks a lot like the Grand Vitara, as the tri-element DRLs look exactly the same, while the grille and its chrome bar look very similar too. The headlamp units are different and so are the front fenders, but have an air of familiarity, and they do remind of the Grand Vitara as well. The Fronx also gets a set of roof rails which add to its appeal, and overall, this is a very appealing looking car from pretty much every angle. The interiors of the Fronx are standard Maruti Suzuki affair, and in fact, they look and feel very similar to what we've seen on the new Baleno that was launched a year ago. That said, I do like the design, and the cabin has a very premium vibe here. It's the dual tone finish inside, including the wine red hue on the bottom half of the dashboard and the door trims, borrowed from the Grand Vitara that do the trick, besides the smooth, well-finished surfaces. The slick 9-inch infotainment screen, flat bottom steering wheel and analog instrument cluster are all the same as the Baleno and Grand Vitara too. What's also carried over from other Maruti cars are the two stalks at either end of the instrument cluster binnacle to switch displays for the multi-information display. Though it's high time Maruti moved these controls to the steering wheel like most other car makers already have. Moving on, the Fronx feels very spacious at the front and rear both, despite being less than 4 meters long. There's lots of space in the driver's cockpit as well, besides which headroom is excellent too. So while it may look compact from the outside, the Fronx does have a very spacious cabin, something that will help it appeal to family car buyers as well. The features list is again very similar to what we've seen on the new Baleno, which means you get a 360-degree view, head-up display, wireless charging and a lot more. Maruti Suzuki had us drive the Fronx on a specially created course where we maneuvered it in various directions, including reversing and making a U-turn using only the 360-degree view, while the windows and windscreen were all blacked out. This was an interesting experience, and the Fronx also deserves a thumbs up for its compact turning radius. The cameras allowed different views, which should also offer a lot of confidence when driving through narrow spaces. The head-up display unit is very helpful, as we've seen on the Baleno and the Grand Vitara previously. The Fronx also supports wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity, though it only gets one USB port at the front, which is a Type A port and not a Type C one. The Suzuki Connect app is your gateway to a host of connected features, besides which the Fronx is also well equipped on the safety front and gets 6 airbags, hill hold assist and ESP as well. The Fronx, as I mentioned, also marks the return of the 1-liter turbo petrol BoosterJet engine, and while the engine has been updated to meet the latest emission norms, and this time it also gets a smart hybrid system courtesy the integrated starter generator, but the outputs remain unchanged at 100 PS and 148 Newton meters. So the outputs are lower than, say, the i20 N-Line's 1-liter turbo petrol and Volkswagen's 1-liter TSI as well. But the Fronx feels quick to accelerate, and well, it more than makes up for that deficit with its kind of lightweight, which makes for an excellent power to weight ratio. Curve weight for the BoosterJet powered version is just over a ton, and the Fronx is quick to accelerate, be it from standstill or through the gears. There's a likable feel to the engine's performance, and it certainly adds to the appeal of the Fronx as a sporty urban crossover. ARAI certified fuel efficiency for the BoosterJet engine is 21.15 km per litre for the manual and 20 km per litre for the automatic version, which are impressive numbers. We only drove the automatic version though, that uses a 6-speed torque converter gearbox with paddle shifters. It impresses with its shifts when driving in a relaxed manner, but when driving enthusiastically, the transmission somewhat limits gear changes, which is a bit of a letdown. So while it is a lot of fun to drive, the torque converter gearbox is a bit of a restraint for the BoosterJet, and I wonder how much more engaging it would feel with a dual clutch gearbox. The second engine option is the 1.2 litre 4-cylinder naturally aspirated dual jet petrol engine that we have seen on the new Baleno. It offers 90 PS and 113 Newton meters and can be had either with a 5-speed manual or a 5-speed AMT. And while we are yet to test it on the Fronx, I expect it to offer a feel similar to what it felt like in the Baleno, where it felt quite peppy. And now let's talk about the dynamics of the Fronx, because its ride and handling are also one of its highlights in my books. And that's because, like you would expect a Maruti Suzuki to feel from behind the wheel, this one is quite the driver's car, and the ride quality is also quite good. Besides a full day behind its wheel on tarmac, we also drove the Fronx on a dedicated dirt track, which allowed us to explore its potential further. With a ground clearance of 190mm, the Fronx is well suited to off-road excursions too. The responsive and well-weighted steering, well-tuned suspension and overall agility helped in maneuvering it around quickly on gravel, and given the experience, I can confirm the Fronx is certainly more than just a city slicker. On the road, the Fronx impresses with its sure-footed feel as it holds a line around corners while also feeling very planted at speeds. The suspension setup feels a little firm, but the Fronx does boast a very impressive ride quality too, as we have come to expect of Maruti Suzuki's cars. So the Fronx is a very interesting addition to the sub-4 meter SUV and crossover club, where it will primarily face off against names like the Renault Kiger and the Nissan Magnite. Maruti Suzuki has been on the ball in terms of its product strategies, and the Fronx, in my opinion, is yet another step in that direction because it looks good, brings back the BoosterJet engine, and of course rides and handles very well. Prices are expected to be announced soon, and this one should command a small premium over the Baleno, so expect it to retail roughly around the 7 lakh rupee ex-showroom mark and go up to about 10 lakh rupees ex-showroom. And these prices, in my books, should help it become one of the most enticing options in the sub 10 lakh rupee price bracket.